So I'm with Adam Lemon, and who are you to BHK?
So I do our online presence, our photos, our sales. I suppose you could maybe call me a sales manager. I manage myself, my sales team of two. My good friend Tim sells a lot of our stuff in the store, and whatever else I need to be. A small company like us, you're what you need to be that day and that time. So,
And what's the knife there I see at your side?
this is the Sisu. This is my favorite knife that we make for me, for the woods, for carving, crafting, having fun. I really enjoy sitting around the fire and making spoons and seeing how good I can get my feather stick on. And this knife excels at that for me.
That is your favorite knife.
Yeah, it is my favorite. It's super ergonomic. One thing when we go to places like our camp out, or we go to some of the hangs, the hammock hangs, bushcraft events, stuff like that, people want to learn, and I enjoy helping the kids and people that don't know anything kind of get to be comfortable with starting fires and carving and making their first spoon and stuff like that. So I end up with my knife in my hand at these things for sometimes an entire day. So super comfortable, no hot spots, doesn't make my hands cramp up real bad with hours of use. So it's really fit most of my needs for this. Now, of course, one knife's not good enough. There's tons of grinds and tons of shapes, and they all excel at different things. This being a Scandi grind, it carves wood excellent, but it's not the kind of grind that I want to use for everyday use when I'm working on my truck or a four-wheeler, or need to cut a zip tie or cut a piece of wire. That super fine edge can be damaged pretty easily. So I'll use a saber grind or a flat grind, something with a secondary bevel in that case. The Scandi being that V grind, well, it skins pretty well. It doesn't slice really deep because it starts getting thick so quick. That's beneficial for things like batoning wood and things like that, but it doesn't lend itself well to slicing. So, when I go hunt and I'm dressing a deer, I want something around this size, maybe a little smaller, to be able to index out to the end of it, but I want a flat grind or a saber grind that's really going to slice deeply into meat. So everybody's different, everybody likes different stuff. We make a ton of different options. There's a whole world of knives out there, but this is definitely my all-around favorite.
Let's try to get a close-up on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So about a 3.5 inch blade. I think it's about 8 1/4 overall, 1/8 inch thick, 01 tool steel. We primarily use 01 tool steel. We'll work in about anything. The CPMs and the super stainlesses and all that. 01's our tried and true. That's our default go-to steel. It's tough. It holds a reasonable edge. And most importantly to me, it's field maintainable.
Yeah.
I don't care what it's made out of. There's a ton of steels out there that'll hold an edge for a ton of time, but eventually, and sometimes catastrophically, they go dull. And to be able to maintain this thing here, in the middle of the camp out without having to go back to the shop and put it on the belt grinder or carry diamond stones or any kind of special sharpening equipment. I mean, you can sharpen 01 on a river rock and strop it out on some tulip poplar bark and a little bit of creek bank clay. You can maintain this thing pretty well. So
now stropping might end up making a what do you call it?
You'll vex that. You put a little convex.
A Scandi vex.
Yeah. So Scandivex, kind of back what I was going to when I was talking about that's being a little bit of a delicate edge, with no secondary bevel, being ground to zero. When you convex that edge a little bit, what a lot of folks refer to as a Scandivex, it makes it a little more robust, lets that edge hold up a little bit better. This knife's a few days old. I loved it and had to have it. The handles and the color struck my eye, and I was ready for a new one, so I went ahead and picked this one up. Just got this one a couple days ago. So it's a nice, super crispy edge, and I'm sure it's probably hard to even see it, but very fine edge. And there's no secondary bevel.
Yeah.
So this knife is going to be a little more delicate. I'll really love this thing after a couple of weeks, couple months, as I strop it out and maintain it. It's going to kind of settle in, and it'll hold up a lot better over the time.
So Adam, if you were to recommend a battle horse knife for a beginner who's into camping or wants to get into camping, what might you recommend?
There's a lot of different answers to that question. It's really an individual thing. So depending on what you're going to do when you camp, primarily, if you'll never carve a stick, short of making a quick fire, you may not want a Scandi. If what you want to do is a lot of woodworking and crafting, maybe learning how to make traps, learn how to feather stick a lot, do a lot of stuff, a Scandi grind knife might be for you. I like a little bit shorter knife for that kind of work. You may enjoy a little bit larger knife. So there's that's a really, really hard answer or question to answer. But there's lots of models that are super solid. Something usually, in my opinion, of a medium 3 to 4.5 inch blade for a beginner is nice. It's not too big to be unwieldy. If you are wanting to do the kind of the woodcraft, the bushcraft, campcraft stuff, where you're making stuff, Scandi grind's great. Scandi grind is also a nice grind to sharpen for people that don't know how to sharpen yet. Instead of having to try to find an angle and maintain it, those big flat bevels are the angle. So it's very easy to set up on the bevel and then run across your stone to raise your burr, flip it over, do the same thing. So it can be a really, really nice grind for a beginner to learn how to maintain. So in short, something similar to this, maybe a little longer, maybe a little shorter, maybe a little different handle shape, depending on what fits your needs. But medium-sized Scandi grind knife's great for that. Maybe go to a saber or flat grind. If you're gonna do more cooking and maybe game processing, your camping's gonna be a hunting trip, then a good flat or saber grind knife might be more your style. So that's one of the great things about coming to the BHK camp out or some of the hangs or coming into the store is we have a bunch of demo knives. There's a great BHK family, all these people out here that having fun with us and hanging out. Everybody's super willing to just pull open the door of their truck or their car and drag out their collection and let you just run around and try them. So really getting to come to something like this or coming into our store and handling some things, really finding the knife that fits you is a really cool option. And if you can do it, I highly suggest it.